Hello again, I'm Rodney Reynolds and welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at two 800 watt power supplies from Ultra, the Xfinity and the X Pro. What's included with each one of these power supplies is the user's manual, screws for mounting the power supply in the case, and the power cable. The Xfinity model is available in wattages ranging from 350 to 800. I'm reviewing the 800 watt model today, which is enough power for most high-end computer systems. Now, how is this wattage determined? Well, to understand that, you need to know what rails are. Rails are basically well-regulated transformers which convert domestic current into the voltages that your computer system can use, and there are essentially two different rails, the 3.3/5 volt and the 12 volt rail. In this particular case, the approximate maximum peak output of the 3.3/5 volt rail is 160 watts and the 12 volt is 660 watts, which is essentially how the wattage of this power supply is determined. The 3.3/5 volt rail is responsible for the motherboard, memory, PCI cards, AGP card, and so on, while the 12 volt rail is responsible for the hard drives, DVD, CD-ROM fans, etc. Also, some might be interested to know the peak amps on each rail. Well, the plus 3.3 volt and the plus 5 volt are both 30 amps. Now, unlike some power supplies that only have one or two plus 12 volt rails, this model has four, and they are all 20 amps each. The X Pro model is available in two wattages, 750 and 800. I'm reviewing the 800 watt model. This model has the same specs as the 800 watt Xfinity power supply. There are a couple of important things to remember when selecting a power supply. The first is wattage. Determine how much wattage you are going to require by the amount of hardware you will be installing. Generally speaking, a medium to high-end gaming rig would require a 500 to 700 power supply. If, however, you are going hardcore and have a multiple video card setup with lots of other hardware, select a power supply that's above 700 watts. Second, it should be at or above 80% efficient at typical load. The efficiency on these power supplies is 78% at full load and nominal input voltage. Third, it should meet the latest ATX and other current standards, environmental directives, overvoltage, undervoltage, and other protection. These power supplies meet all the current standards. Fourth, I'd recommend getting a power supply that has APFC. APFC, or Active Power Factor Correction, is something that also assists the power supply in being more efficient and therefore stable under load. APFC basically reduces total harmonics, corrects input voltage, and it allows for full input voltage range. Both of these power supplies have APFC. Finally, get a power supply that has enough leads for your setup. Let's have a closer look at the Xfinity 800 watt power supply. It's constructed from thick aluminum, so it's fairly heavy, and comes in a matte black paint finish. There are also two 80mm fans and plenty of ventilation holes. Also note that they have a piece of plastic right here. This is to protect the cables as they exit the power supply. These fans are temperature controlled and will have no problem keeping the inside of the power supply cool. This power supply also has AST, or after spin technology. After spin technology is used to quiet the system and aid in prolonging the life of computer components. Connectors for case fans are thermostatically controlled. This means that the speed of the fans are reduced when temperatures inside the case are low. Also note that the power supply case and CPU fan connectors remain spinning several minutes after the power supply is powered down, allowing the system to gradually cool down after use. Here's the power switch and the power cable connection. The Xfinity 800 watt power supply has plenty of leads, and they are all sleek looking flex force cables. As the name suggests, the cables are super flexible. And this is great because it allows you to bend them and put them almost anywhere. For example, hiding them behind the motherboard tray or neatly tucking them out of sight. This design also increases airflow inside the case by about 30% over standard power supply cables. Let's have a closer look at the X-Pro 800 watt power supply. It's constructed from thick aluminum but is silver. This power supply also has two 80mm fans and the same ventilation system, as well as this chunk of plastic here protecting the cables as they exit the power supply. Here's the power switch and the power cable connection. The X-Pro 800 watt power supply also has lots of leads, and they're all sleeved, which not only looks great but increases airflow inside the case. Finally, have a listen to the fans. Both of these power supplies are pretty much on equal ground when it comes to performance. And the only real difference between them is the Xfinity is black, comes with Flex-Force cables. The X Pro is silver and has standard sleeving. But overall, both of these are kick-ass. Again, my name is Rodney Reynolds. This has been another video review. Be sure to check back very soon. I will have a brand new one for you then. Also, pop into my website at www.3dgameman.com, and while you're there, you can go into the forums and register. And remember, registration is completely free. Also, keep in mind, you can find out a lot more on both of these products in the forum. And as a final note, if you love watching my video reviews, please remember to help support 3dgameman.com. If you wish to support, please visit support3gm.com. Until next time, take care. These fans are also temperature controlled, and we have I cannot speak. The Xfinity 800 watt power supply has plenty of leads, and they're all sleek looking floors. They can really bend and go anywhere. Woo-ha! Bend and go anywhere. Very well. Now the really only difference,